Hi guys, welcome to week 3 and welcome to Photoshop. So today's demonstration, I have opened the program Photoshop, and from having it open, I am going to click on the open button within Photoshop. I have a file already set up. You guys should have downloaded your images for the assignment, and you should have them put together in a folder in a place that you can store everything in a neat, organized manner. So as you can see, I have them set up for assignment 3. I am going to start by opening Room, and notice it's a PSD file. I'll talk about that as we move on. So I am going to open this file. So it's a little bit small on my page. So I am going to go up to Image, and I am going to look at the image size, okay? Image size. And it shows me that it is 4.792 inches by 6.778 inches. You may have pixels shown here. When you open it up, it may say pixels, whatever the last thing you were working on will affect it. So if it says pixels, you just click on this arrow until you get to inches, okay? And my resolution is 72 inches, 72 dots per inch. I want to change that to 300 DPI. Now, you'll have already seen the presentation and see that it really isn't adding any more information to my document, but I'm going to be manipulating and adding more stuff. So I want to start with as large a file as I need. So I am going to change this to 300 DPI. And notice here I have bicubic smoother for enlargement. So you probably have automatic if you've never opened a Photoshop before. So you're going to click to resample that to bicubic smoother enlargement. And so what that does is the computer, it just knows what to do to control it, so it will clean it up a slight bit with whatever means it has. And then I'm going to change this size. I want you to be working on basically something that fits on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So if I go and change this size of the width to 8.5, notice that the height is 12 inches, okay? So I don't want it to exceed that sheet of paper, so I'm going to change the height to 11 inches. And so it's making my width 7.777, which is fine. It's okay if it's smaller, but I want it to fit as comfortably as it can on an 8.5 by 11. Okay, so now I have my size changed, my resolution changed, and I'm resampling it to a bicubic smoother enlargement. That's hard to say. Okay, so it's larger and it's a bit fuzzy. It's not perfect by any means, but for purpose of this assignment, it's fine. You're just learning. Okay. The next thing I want to do is add the bench into this room. So I am going to go to Open, up at the top under File, and I'm going to browse until I get to my folder where I can find the bench. The bench is a JPEG file. I don't actually remember what JPEGs, GPG stands for, but you've seen them a lot. They're one of the probably the most common file size that you can, file type that you can download. PNGs, when you download from the internet, are usually JPEGs or PNG files. And I did download this from the internet. So when I look at the image size on this file, it's 9.861 at 72 DPI. So I'm going to change this to 300 DPI and say, okay. So here's my bench. And what I'm going to do is I am going to need to get rid of this white background, okay? So I have history open right now. I am going to click on the layers instead, so it looks like two pieces of paper on top of each other, okay? So you see that this is on the background layer. I want to just hover over the word background and double click on it. And then it tells me that it can change it to a a transparent file just by doing this. So I now have layer 1, which is no longer the background layer. The background layer always is a flattened layer that's not transparent, which will become more apparent in a moment to you. Okay, so I am going to want to clean up this background around here. So I'm going to zoom out of here for a moment. And the best tool to clean up the background here is using this selection tool where I can grab a bunch of this background here, and I'm just going to delete that. Now notice that it's this checkerboard pattern. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see this. This checkerboard pattern is what tells me that my file is actually transparent now. So this checkerboard, it's good to see this, although it can be confusing and distracting. It's good to know that you've actually got a transparency going on. Okay. So I'm going to use now this tool. It's the Lasso tool. So you probably have it pictured like this. It's a round tool that's got that little arrow underneath it like in the other Adobe programs. So we're going to make it a polygon lasso tool. So notice in the little picture, the lasso tool is rounded. This one has sharp edges. And the reason why we're going to do that today, it's going to be a nice, easy way for you to click around all this background information here. So I'm going to start over here in this shape here. So I'm going to click and drag, click and drag. There's a little bit of a curve here. I don't want to just go straight or I'll get too much white in there. So I'm sort of going to pick around this a little bit. So here I might do the same thing. I don't want to end up with white areas, but neither do I want to cut in too close to my object. Sometimes I do an extra little clicking here. There's a little bit of a curve there, so I'm going to go here, up, and around. And when I've got it all clicked and I let go, you can see these have been referred to as dancing ants. That's showing me what's highlighted. And then I hit the delete key and I get that transparentness over there. Okay, so I can go around doing this again to the rest. So I'm going to start by clicking. I'm going to click a couple times to go around that corner, angle this a little bit. And as I drag, notice the page moves for me. So you don't have to bother with zooming in or zooming out. The size that I have it zoomed at right now is a pretty comfortable size. So you want to get it around this size before you start. And I just keep moving this around. Notice if I had this window open, if I just keep pushing over the edge, it lets me get this out of my way. There you go. And hit delete. Might seem a little tedious, but you're going to be brushing up on your skills as you work your way around here. This is a long travel here, and I want to make sure that I don't end up with, let me show you something. So if I go here, drag all the way to here, I might end up with some white in the middle there because I can't see across the whole page. So I'm going to do this in little pieces so I don't have too much white, even though it looks like it's a perfectly straight line. Sometimes it's better to do it in little pieces because it could curve slightly and you don't want to have extra white in there. Around the corner there a little. See the way if I do a straight line, I end up with that white because it is actually curved there a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom out a bit for the background. I'm going to, again, take a large slice here. Notice it's not perfectly perpendicular there, so I'm going to just delete this extra background here. So when I do this perimeter, I don't want to accidentally delete what my fill is, so I'm going to go around and then make a loop back. So I went too far, but that's okay. And delete there. Okay. Oops. So here I've got a softer edge. So what I'm going to do is use a eraser tool. Here's the eraser tool. It looks like a little eraser. And with the eraser tool, it's got presets for, up here you can look at it, it's got the size of the circle and the hardness. So now you might start with your hardness being soft and see what happens. It can cut in there a bit versus having the hardness all the way up to 100%. And then it's really sharp. So I'll show you how sharp it is, okay? So we want something in between. So when you want to undo things, you can do Command Z, Command Z. So I am going to go up here and put my hardness somewhere in the middle, and this size at 23 points seems pretty comfortable. So then I will go around here and clean up this edge, okay? So that's the last piece that you guys will be doing to clean this up. And then you can go and zip, 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 but usually I like to go back and grab that tool, the lasso tool, to go and clean up those big chunks. Okay, and oops. If you get the lasso and it's kind of crazy, you hit the P or go back to the P lets you have to go back to where it starts and then unclick it. Okay. Rough this out. Get rid of all my extra white in here. Should have done this when I had it smaller. And then over. Click. Delete that. And then I'm going back to my eraser tool. Unclick. Going back to my eraser tool to clean up that final edge. Notice how it's not cleaning up the edge. That means that I actually have something on the page selected. So I am going to go to the box, rectangle tool, and unclick, and then go back to my eraser, and then it's working again. So if you find that your tools aren't working, you might accidentally have some little bit on your screen showing, okay? So you're going to finish this up, and then you will say save as, and you can just say bench retouch, just so you have a new file and you still have your original file. And now it's saving it as a PSD file in Photoshop is the default. And then you'll